Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to the complete recovery of Masha Basbasha. First Friday tonight, Israel edition, can't wait to see everyone. As well as the YJP Purim Fiesta early bird tickets end Sunday night. So tell your friends, if you haven't gotten your ticket, grab it. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event. For those who use Waze, and I'm talking about the GPS app, I'm a Waze person. My wife Kai is more of a Google Maps person. But if you use Waze and then you're driving, everything seems great, roads are clear, and then suddenly Waze tells you to get off. Take the next exit, wants to take you through some backcountry roads, and you're like, should I listen, should I not? Everything looks great, so you ignore it. 5 minutes later, you hit a massive traffic jam. You're like, I should have listened to Waze. Why? Because Waze collects obviously tons of information, and it can see what's going on ahead, you can, and it's trying to help you avoid those situations so you don't get stuck. This week has been crazy, right? Everybody knows what's going on in Ukraine. And for Chabad, we all know people personally who are there, who are going through this, who are trying to get their communities out, who are going through this crazy, crazy stuff. They spent years, 20, 30, building up their communities there. And in an instant, everything's uprooted. They're trying to get their communities out. They have no idea where they're going. They have no idea where they're ending up, but they're going. They're on this road. Waze has told them to take the next exit, and they're listening. God has told them this is the way. Where does this come from? Like this faith that wherever we end up, we're gonna go together. We're gonna figure it out. It's meant to be. In this week's Torah portion, Parsha Pekudei, we have the details of how the Jewish people traveled through the desert. How did they know when to camp, when to travel? They had a GPS. They had God's positioning service, that kind of GPS. There were the clouds of glory. When the clouds of glory stopped, the Jewish people knew this is where we're camping. When they started moving, when they rose and they started moving, the Jewish people said, okay, now it's time to pack up and keep moving. They didn't know where they were going, where the next stop was. They were just following God's GPS. They were following God's ways. You're telling me to get off here, you got off there. And they were going. And this is the Jewish attitude. We don't know where we're going. We feel here, in our own lives in the US, we feel very comfortable, like we have an idea of where we're going. But as current events show us, we actually have no idea. Anything can change in an instant. Waze can suddenly tell you get off the next exit. And you'll have no idea. Where's it taking me? I don't know. But if we follow God's GPS, that God's in control of the world, and if God's telling me to get off here or go there, I'm just going. He's taking me on a journey. And He's going to tell me when to stop, where to go, and I'm going to make the most of wherever I end up. In 1980s, I think it was 87 or maybe 88, Chabad women did an international Chabad conference in Detroit, women's conference. And on the way home, they were all in the airport. This was in Detroit, and a blizzard came. And you had over 60 Chabad women were suddenly stuck in the airport. All flights were canceled. They had families back home, and they didn't know what to do. So one of them went to the payphone and put in quarters, and Mrs. Popak, she was running the convention, and she called the Rebbe's office in New York to tell him what's going on. And the secretary picks up and she says, tell the Rebbe we're stuck in the airport in Detroit. The secretary goes and tells the Rebbe and comes back and says, the Rebbe says, I don't understand what it means stuck. So she explained, it means the planes were canceled. He comes back again and says, the Rebbe says a Jew is never stuck. A Jew is never stuck. They got the message. They immediately started, if we're here, if we're in the airport and our flight was canceled, we're here for a reason. There's a purpose. And they started going around the airport to find out if there was any Jewish people there. And they gave out many candle lighting kits and encouraged women to light Shabbos candles. Until this day, there are women who are lighting Shabbos candles. They kept in touch with them because of that encounter in the airport in Detroit during the blizzard. A Jew is never stuck. This was always the message. Wherever we find ourselves, it may not be what we planned. This wasn't where we wanted to end up. But if we find ourselves there, there's a reason why we're there. We don't know why we're getting off this exit. We don't know where it's going to lead us, but we get off. The Chabad rabbi in Lugansk was Rabbi Gopin, and he built this whole community up. And in 2014, Lugansk is in eastern Ukraine. In 2014, when Russia went into Crimea and they also helped take over eastern Ukraine, he had to go out of Lugansk. He had to flee Lugansk because it was dangerous. After all these years of building up his community, and where did he resettle? He ended up back in Kiev. He ended up in Kiev and restarting all again. And he built up a whole other community. And now again he's on the run. And now again he has to flee with his community. His mindset is, I don't know where God's taking me, but God's taking me on a journey, and we have full faith. We're never stuck. We're never alone. We don't know what the road leads to, but God sees everything. God sees what's up ahead. And if God wants me to be here, I'm here. If God wants me to be here, I'm here. Chabad rabbi from another city in Ukraine finally got his community out, was going to go to Israel to his family. He got a phone call from Chabad in Holland, in Amsterdam, where he said, we have over 50 Jewish families, refugees from Ukraine here. We want to bring a Chabad rabbi from Ukraine to help lead them. He turns with his whole family and they went off to Amsterdam. Right after fleeing Ukraine, they went to Amsterdam to lead another community. These are the heroes who are saying, wherever God leads me, we're never stuck, we're never alone. We're on a journey. We might not know where it's leading to, but we're following God's GPS. Shabbat Shalom.